I'm Professor Nikolay Kornienko. Currently, I'm a full professor at the Institute of Inorganic Chemistry at the University of Bonn in Germany. My team researches mainly on electrocatalysis, materials, and reaction mechanisms, both from a fundamental scientific aspect and from the perspective of technological development. I was trained as a chemist first at the University of Pittsburgh, and then with my PhD at the University of California, Berkeley, where I researched mainly on materials chemistry and energy. I carried out a postdoc fellowship as a Royal Society Newton Fellow at the University of Cambridge with Professor Irvin Reisner, and there I looked at biological energy conversion. And using all of that training, I crafted my own independent research program where we make advances in, let's say, bio-inspired catalysis, in situ spectroscopic techniques towards mechanism elucidation and practical technology development with new directions in catalysis. Personally, it's a great recognition of the work my team's done, the creative approaches that we take, and the innovations we make in fundamental science and practical technologies. Professionally, of course, it's also a great professional recognition. It's a great stepping stone. I think it's great for visibility as well. I always tell myself and my students to really think outside the box. I think there's a place for incremental advances, and those are important as well. But at the same time, we have to balance with trying radical new chemistry, new approaches, looking at new undiscovered fields, and hopefully opening them up as well. So questions that drive us are developing new chemical reactions, particularly in my case, various cross-coupling reactions, small molecule activation, that stand to have a big place in industry in the future, particularly in the direction of electrifying chemical reactions in a more sustainable fashion. At the same time, we look at new conceptual strategies to do reactions, not only optimization, not only new catalyst design, but really fundamentally new strategies and new routes of going about catalysis itself. One, it was all of my mentors, my supervisors growing up, beginning with my bachelor's research with Professor Sandy Asher in the University of Pittsburgh, and then my PhD with Professor Peidong Yang in UC Berkeley. Also with a collaboration with Omar Yagi, the recent Nobel Prize winner in chemistry, and then in my postdoc, Professor Irvin Reisner. And we always look to, take a big risk, take a big step. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least you learn something along the way. But really push to do something grand, something bigger. And I would say right now I have continuous inspiration from all of my team. We have constant discussions, what's the state of the art? What are we doing? What can we do differently? What can we do new? What's a new area that we can develop ourselves? Concepts that we can push into completely new directions in chemistry. And I think this is the best part, right? All the discussions with my team, seeing how it's going. I don't do much lab work and on a day-to-day basis anymore, but I guess constant communication, constant having a constant mindset of pushing beyond the current limits. And I think that's very inspirational with all the people I'm surrounded by. I guess I would say, when I was first interviewing for my first academic positions back, right after my postdoc, one of the key questions that I got was, you're proposing something in this area, and what are you doing differently to distinguish yourself from the top players in the field? People who have a lot of momentum, a bigger group, all the infrastructure already going, that can probably do the same things but better. And so the message I've slowly been learning and trying to push was that find something different to do, right? When you have established areas, you have hot topics, you have emerging directions. I would say the best and most difficult thing to do was find your own direction. Conceptually find something that's different than what the field is doing, but has the potential to start and be its own direction itself. It's a bit of a general answer, but this is something that, once you have answers to that general question, I think it's going to open up, all the doors to your future.